Tyson Fury has done it again. Just when the boxing world was starting to accept that the Gypsy King might finally be gone for good, he's announced he's coming back, and he's picked 2026 as the year he returns to the ring. For a lot of fans, this feels like deja vu. Fury has retired more times than most fighters have title fights. His 2025 exit was the 5th time he'd claimed to be walking away. But this latest U-turn still managed to catch plenty of people off guard, especially because of the timing and the way he's explaining it. What makes this comeback different, at least in how Fury is presenting it, is that he's adamant this isn't about chasing another payday. He's framing this as something much simpler. He misses fighting, and he can't stand being away from it. To understand why this announcement has so much weight, you have to look at where he left off. Fury stepped away in January 2025 after back-to-back losses to Alexander Usyk, the undisputed heavyweight champion. Those defeats were huge turning points. For years, Fury was the man at the top of the division, the one people expected to outbox, outthink, and outlast everyone else. Losing twice in a row to the same opponent and losing the aura of invincibility that had followed him for so long clearly stung. At 37, with a resume most fighters can only dream of and more money than he'll ever need, he decided he was done. Over the next year, he stayed out of the ring, focused on life off the canvas, and went back to filming his Netflix reality series. From the outside, it looked like he was settling into a new chapter: family, media projects, and a life where he could enjoy the fruits of everything he had accomplished. Then, out of nowhere, he jumped on Instagram and changed the conversation. On a Sunday post that quickly spread across social media, Fury declared that 2026 would be that year. He announced the comeback plainly, saying he'd been away for a while, but he was back, still punching at 37 and ready to go again. It wasn't a vague tease or a cryptic hint. It was a clear message to fans, promoters, and the rest of the heavyweight division. Don't get too comfortable. The Gypsy King isn't finished yet. But the most interesting part isn't just that he's returning, it's how he's talking about why. Fury has made it very clear that he doesn't see this as a money move. He's pointed out he's already won every kind of title there is to win, from regional belts at home in England to world titles, Fighter of the Year awards, and multiple Ring magazine honors. He's held the WBC belt, and he's had spells as the recognized lineal champion. In his own words, he's won literally everything. He's also been honest about the financial side. He said if this were just about money, he could have retired a decade ago and still been extremely comfortable. Independent outlets like Forbes and Sportico have consistently placed him among the top earners in all of sports, not just boxing. When he says he doesn't need the cash, it's hard to argue. Instead, he's describing his decision as something much more personal. He's talked about being 37, turning 38, feeling old in boxing years, but still waking up hungry to fight. He's been blunt about the fact that he doesn't really have other interests outside of this. According to him, he was born and raised to fight, and his destiny is still tied to the sport. That kind of language hits differently coming from someone like Fury. This is not a guy who dabbles. When he's in, he's all in. He's battled back from mental health struggles and long layoffs before. He's disappeared, gained weight, looked finished, then come back and stunned everyone. His whole career has been built on these dramatic rises and falls. If you trace it from the beginning, it's been a long, wild ride. Fury turned professional in 2008 and worked his way up through the British and European scenes. It wasn't always glamorous, but his size, awkward style, and personality made him stand out early. The first truly seismic moment came in 2015, when he went to Germany and outboxed Wladimir Klitschko, snapping Klitschko's long reign and shaking up the entire division. That win was one of the biggest upsets in modern heavyweight history. It made Fury a unified world champion and cemented him as a different kind of heavyweight. He wasn't just big, he was unpredictable, tricky, and mentally relentless. Then came the spiral. He lost the belts outside the ring, battled depression and addiction, ballooned in weight, and disappeared from competition. A lot of people wrote him off, but he came back, slowly worked himself into shape and turned his return into one of the most compelling boxing comebacks in years. That second act reached its peak in his trilogy with Deontay Wilder. Those fights were global events. The first bout ended in a controversial draw, with Fury famously rising from a massive knockdown in the 12th round. The rematches were brutal and dramatic, with Fury eventually taking the WBC belt off Wilder and then beating him again. Those nights turned him from a cult figure into a mainstream attraction. It's against that backdrop that his losses to Alexander and his 2025 retirement hit so hard. They felt like the end of an era. Now, with this 2026 comeback declaration, that book is open again, and it raises one huge question. What exactly is he coming back for? There's one matchup that has loomed over British boxing for years: Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. An all-British heavyweight showdown between two former world champions, both with massive fan bases, has been the dream fight for a long time. Negotiations have come and gone, deadlines, call-outs, offers. We've seen it all, with nothing finalized. Joshua himself brought that fight back into the spotlight in late 2025. After his much-talked-about knockout of Jake Paul, AJ used his post-fight moment to call Fury out again, pushing for that long-awaited clash. For a brief window, it looked like momentum might finally be moving in the right direction. The public interest was there. Fury was retired but still very much in the headlines. Joshua was active and winning again. It felt like maybe, just maybe, the stars might align. Then, real life intervened in the worst possible way.
Anthony Joshua was involved in a serious car accident in Nigeria, a crash that tragically claimed the lives of two members of his team. Beyond the sporting implications, it was a devastating personal blow. Understandably, any talk of scheduling a mega fight immediately slowed down. Joshua's focus shifted to grieving, healing, and processing what had happened. That single incident changed the landscape overnight. With Joshua's situation uncertain and his return timeline not clearly defined, the path to that huge all-British fight became blurry again. It's not off the table forever, but it's no longer something that can be spoken about as if it's just around the corner. In that shifting landscape, Fury's 2026 announcement takes on a different tone. He's not stepping back into a division that's neatly set up for one obvious blockbuster. Instead, he's walking into a scene that's in flux, belts moving, champions aging, new contenders emerging, and long-targeted opponents dealing with life-changing events. One name that has quietly entered the conversation around Fury's return is Arslanbek Makhmudov. He's not a global star in the way Joshua or Usyk are, but he's a big, dangerous heavyweight with a reputation as a serious puncher. Early discussions have floated the idea of Fury facing someone like Makhmudov in a comeback bout, essentially a tune-up fight before chasing anything bigger. That kind of opponent would make sense. After a full year out of the ring and 2 straight losses before that, Fury isn't likely to jump instantly into an undisputed title fight. He's 37, and while his ring IQ and size don't vanish overnight, timing and conditioning absolutely can. A measured return, a solid, credible opponent rather than a soft touch, but not an immediate super fight, would fit his pattern from the past. He has often taken 1 or 2 fights to shake off rust before going into the deepest waters. At the same time, you can never fully predict how Fury will move, either inside or outside the ring. He feeds off big occasions, big narratives, and big stakes. If a major opportunity were to open up suddenly, it wouldn't be shocking to see him skip a slow build and head straight toward it. But as of now, the talk of someone like Makhmudov being in the early mix suggests a more gradual re-entry. There's also the physical and mental side to consider. Heavyweight boxing is unforgiving, especially for fighters in their late 30s with long, punishing careers. Fury has taken big shots, been in grueling wars, and carried a huge amount of weight on his frame for years. Every training camp, every sparring session, every fight adds to that wear and tear. When he says he has 0 other interests besides fighting, that can sound inspirational, but it also raises fair questions. How long can someone stay in a sport this brutal, purely because they love it? When does passion become risk? Those are the conversations fans and pundits are already having as they react to his Instagram declaration. At the same time, if there's anyone who has consistently defied expectations about what a heavyweight can do after long breaks, it's Tyson Fury. He's already come back from darker and deeper holes than a one-year retirement after losing to an all-time great in Usyk. He's outboxed technicians, outbrawled punchers, and outtalked just about everyone. The emotional pull of that kind of fighter returning is huge. Whether you love him or can't stand him, it's hard to deny that the heavyweight division feels different when Tyson Fury is active. Press conferences get louder, social media buzz gets stronger, fight weeks feel bigger. What makes this 2026 comeback particularly compelling is that it won't just be about reclaiming belts. At this stage, it's also about legacy. How does Tyson Fury want to be remembered? Is the man who rose, fell, came back and conquered, then stepped away after losing to another legend? Or as someone who kept coming back again and again, insisting his destiny was never fully resolved? There's no guarantee the ending he wants is available. The heavyweight scene changes quickly. Younger fighters are always coming up. Usyk, Joshua, and others have their own timelines, their own issues, their own goals. Sanctioning bodies move belts around based on mandatory challengers and politics. Nothing is simple. But by planting a flag on 2026, Fury has put everyone on notice. Fighters, promoters, broadcasters, and fans now know he plans to be part of the conversation again. They know he's not content to let his final official act be a loss on the scorecards and a Netflix camera following him into retirement. Right now, we don't have confirmed dates, venues, or signed contracts. What we do have is a 37-year-old former world champion, one of the most charismatic and polarizing heavyweights of his generation, saying clearly that he's coming back, not for the money, but for the fight itself. As the months roll towards 2026, we'll see how serious the interest is in a Makhmudov-style tune-up, whether Joshua's situation stabilizes enough for that long-awaited all-British showdown to be revisited, and how the rest of the heavyweight contenders react to the news that the Gypsy King plans to reclaim his place in the spotlight. For now, one thing is certain: the heavyweight division just got a lot more interesting. Tyson Fury is talking about destiny again, and whenever he does that, it usually means the chaos is just beginning.